use yourself for needing to do in order to be productive. I mean, you can, see if I can read this here. You can go to the property inspection, you can put on a lockbox, you can attend the escrow closing, you can check on the sign installation, you can organize mailings, you can write postcards, you know, you can get the building permits. All these things running around all day, you could say is what I need to do to be productive. But I realized that that's not the case at all. There are only 3 things that I do that matter the most to moving the money needle. And those things were pitching a listing, negotiating a contract, and prospecting. And all I wanted to do was spend all my time doing those 3 things as much as possible. And I became so emphatic about this discipline that I actually bought a stopwatch and hung it around my neck. And so as I went throughout the day, when I was doing one of those 3 things, I would turn it on. So if I were going door to door, knock, 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 door opens, turn it on. Talk, 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 door closes, turn it off. Walk to the next door, open, on, close, off. I would go home, cold call. Ring, 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 answer, on. Hang up, off. I remember the first day that I did this, I thought, I'm just gonna crush it. I spent like 18 hours a day working like a madman. And I didn't look at the clock the whole day. And at the end of the day, I was gleeful, getting ready to look at how much time I had spent in true productivity. I turned over the stopwatch and guess how much it read? 20 minutes. 18-hour day, running around like a madman, and I had only spent 20 minutes doing anything that paid the bills. And so it became my goal from that point forward to add numbers on that clock. I remember getting it to 40 minutes was like this Herculean feat. And then I got it over an hour, and then I got it up to 2 hours, and rarely, like 3 times ever, I got it up to 4 hours. You would think working 4 hours would be easy to do. Not if you're focused on the few things that actually pay the bills. And as a result, as a result of this sort of discipline is the reason why I was able to dominate a marketplace at a very young age, because I was focused on doing the things that actually produced revenue versus running around doing all the things that did not. Here's a great way to sort of understand this, in order to really get a dollar and cents understanding of this focus on doing the few key vitals. Any income goal you've got, you just divide it by 2,000 hours. That's the average amount of working hours that you will spend on an annual basis if you are doing something full time, 2,000 hours. So the math is really easy. If you want to make $100,000, you have to treat every single hour as $50 an hour. Every hour of your working life, you have to actually produce $50 in return. Every hour, this hour, next hour, the following hour, $50, $50, 50 hours. Now, if you want to earn $250,000, that's $125 an hour. $1 million, that's $500,000 an hour. Now, let's just say you want to earn $100,000. Now, if somebody catches you in the hallway and you spend 20 minutes having a conversation, or you run across a YouTube video and that leads you to another YouTube video, and you spend 20 minutes, you look up and 20 minutes are gone, that's $10. Right off the top. 10? What is that? 3? 2? That's $20. That's about $20 you got to take out of your wallet and then just go and light a match to it. You spend a little extra time on a phone call that you need not be on, take another $20. See, what you don't realize is that you're actually taking money off the top. Every hour wasted, $50 off the top, off the top, off the top. And people wonder, how come I only made $36,000 last year? I worked all year long. You worked at the wrong things, and every hour you wasted, you took money right off the top. That's it. So some people tell me all the time, I just need 10 minutes of your time. Well, if I'm making over 7-figure income, send me $100. That's what 10 minutes cost me. I know it sounds like it's trivial. 10 minutes, easy, no problem. It's $100 that comes right off the top. Now I only make 900, 900,000, and it's money right off the top. So if you understand that every hour that you spend, you have to produce $50. Like, the key question to ask yourself, you might even want to write this one down, is what I'm doing right now, would I pay somebody $50 an hour to do this? Key question. What I'm doing right now, would I, with hard-earned money, pay somebody $50 to do this? And if the answer is no, then certainly you shouldn't be doing it. Right? let's talk about your vital functions. Right here, Momentis. What are your half dozen vital factors? What are the things that move the needle, that produce revenue? Because everything outside of these don't. Here's your half dozen. Use the services. If you are not a product of your own product, if you don't have every service that you guys offer hooked up in your home, forget trying to get anybody else to do it. It's not going to happen. So number one is use the services. Pretty easy so far. Number two, share the services with others. Tell other people about the great services that you're using in your house. Pretty simple. Number three, share the opportunity that if they did what you just did for them, there might be a little extra income in this. Just share the opportunity. Number four, help others that say, yeah, this sounds cool, get started themselves. Number five, attend and promote events just like this. Right now you're making money. This is one of your half dozen vital functions in this business. Right here, right now, you are making money. It's one of your half dozen. And number six, and the most important, is your own personal development. Because when you grow, all the rest of these become easier. When you become more attractive, more people want to hear what you've got to say. When you become a better leader, more people want to follow you in what it is that you're doing. So number six of all the things you can do is the most important. But there's your half dozen. That's it. Anything outside of those six things and you're wasting time. It is not part of your high vital productivity function. I see a lot of you taking photos of the slides. So, as a service to you, to make this easy, if you just text, so instead of the phone number, you text 58885, and you put in the word slides, your name and email address, it will email you the whole slide deck. Is that helpful? Okay. Everything you see on here, it'll email to you. So you don't have to write everything down, just listen for the keywords, and you'll get the whole slide deck. And if you didn't write it down fast enough, it's in the left-hand corner here as we keep going. So let me bottom line this particular distinction. Here's the goal. You want to just focus on a few things. Number one is do fewer things. Number two, more often. Number three, and get better at them. That's the key to Dr. Oz's success. That's the key to Richard Branson's success. That's the key to Apple and Steve Jobs of late success. They do fewer things more often, and they focus on getting better at them. Here's distinction number three. This is what's called getting better at them. The greatest achievers on the planet, the one thing that they are dogged about, the one consistent trait in each of them, is that they are constantly looking to improve. They are emphatic about improving. Always, as Steve Jobs put it, iterating. You want to iterate, iterate, iterate. Every single day of your life, you're iterating, iterating, iterating. And you can't improve what you don't measure. That's the key line. You can't improve what you don't measure. So superachievers are emphatic about measuring everything. Not just revenue, not just profit and loss, but if they want to improve their health, they measure it. They want to improve their relationships, they measure it. They want to improve their productivity, they measure it. Everything is measured and monitored. Let me show you why they are emphatic about measuring and monitoring. Because it's so easy to get off track. Let's say that you wanted to fly from LAX to LaGuardia in New York. Straight shot. Now, while this plane is sitting on the tarmac, if that plane is off by only 1 degree, just 1 degree, that's from here to here. Did you see that? From here to here. From here to here. That's it. 1 degree. We're not talking about being off that much. It'll end up 150 miles off course by the time it gets to New York's area. 2 states away. Now here's what happens. 10 years go by and people say to themselves, how did I get here? How did I end up bankrupt? How did I end up in foreclosure? How did I end up fat? How did I end up in divorce? It could have just been 1 degree off. And enough time in that trajectory takes you into divorce, into obesity, into a cardiac arrest, into foreclosure, what have you. 1 degree. This is the reason why a plane in the front nose has what's called a gyroscope. And so no matter what happens, the computer gyroscope readjusts, it course corrects. Weather, traffic, you have to take an alternative path. The computer readjusts and puts it back on target. You need a gyroscope in your life. You need to constantly be monitoring and measuring so that you can readjust all along the way. So let me show you how I really came about this. This is when I was in high school, and I was a waiter, like every other high school student. And at the end of the night, you had to take all the cash that you received and all the credit card receipts and sit down with the manager and do what was called cash out. And it all had to add up to the amount that you put into the computer system. And if you were short from what you ordered versus what you collected, your butt was in trouble. So everybody always loathed the cash out at the end of the day. Well, all of us as mature business achievers need to cash out every single day as well. What is it that you said you were going to do? At the end of the day, let's add it up. Did you do it? Simple as that. So let me show you the system that I use. This is what I call the weekly rhythm register. This is one of the things that's in my Living Your Best Year Ever program, which is the goal designing and goal achievement system. So every single week, you can roll up all your goals, everything you're trying to achieve, onto a single piece of paper. And in less than 60 seconds each day, you can use this as your measuring, monitoring gyroscope in your life. So let me show you how it works. So take the goals you've got, the behaviors that you have to do consistently. These are your half dozen fundamentals right here, right? Share the services, the opportunity, follow up, the meetings you attend, the new people at meetings, 30 minutes of reading, 30 minutes of listening to an instructional audio. Like that right there would be your ability to get to the top of this company, bar none, if you just did those things on a day-to-day basis. Period. End of training. That's it. So the key now is to measure and monitor that on a regular basis. So what you do is you say, this is my goal for the week, Sunday night. I'm going to share the services 10 times throughout the week. I'm going to share the opportunity 5 times. I'm going to follow up with 5 different people I've already got in the pipeline. I'm going to get 2 people to come to a meeting. I'm going to go to 2 meetings, 2 people to come to a meeting. I'm going to listen to 30 minutes of reading and listening each day for 5 days. That's the goal. Now, add it up each night. 1, none, 2, 1, none. Add it up each night. And then, what was achieved? And then at the end, what's the net effect? Are you on track or off track? And where are you on track or off track? One piece of paper, the gyroscope of your entire productivity in order for you to escalate to the top of this company. By the way, if you text in for the slides, I'll send you a free copy of that worksheet. So you can print it out for yourself, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Distinction number 4. Superachievers do their productivity with great purpose and passion. This is what drives them through the storm. This is what allows them to endure the pain and agony that it takes in order to get to the other side of the journey. Now, let me give you an example of why this is so important. Imagine if I put a 300-foot steel beam across the stage here. And I said, if you'll just walk on top of the beam from one end to the other, I'll give you $20. How many people would do it? $20. Okay, yeah, easy. Easy, $20, no big deal. Now what if I took that 300-foot beam and I put it atop 2 100-story buildings? And the wind is whipping and you're in the clouds and the birds are flying, and I said, I'll give anybody $20 if they just walk across the top of that beam to the other side. How many people would do it now? Okay, now what if on the other building is your child? And that building is on fire. And the flames are licking at their necks. If you don't go across that beam, they will perish and die right before your eyes. How many people will go across that beam now?
All of us.
I remember one guy in one of the audiences said, which child? Ain't right, especially coming up to Father's Day. So key question, why the first time I presented you with the option of $20 to go across the beam, no way, no how. But the second time, your arms shot up, and I didn't even offer you $20. The reasons why to do it the second time were different. The reasons why were important and compelling enough, and you would be right across. Same danger, same risks, same potential for calamity, yet you were willing to do it without thinking twice. This is getting clear about your reason why for doing it. This is establishing your purpose. This is where you generate your passion. This is why it's crucial that you figure out why the hell you're doing this business. Why are you doing it? If you're doing it just to make some extra money, give it a try, see if it works out. I promise you, the first wind that blows will push you onto the rocks and you'll be out of this business. But if you decide, this is where I'm staking my claim so that I can send my children to the greatest universities in the world, universities that I couldn't go to because my parents couldn't afford it. This is where I'm going to be able to retire my parents who are running out of money, they're desperate, but I'm going to be able to buy them a home and retire them financially. This is where I'm going to raise the money so that I can contribute to the charity or church that I am so passionately in support of. If you figure out your reason why this is compelling, this no certain how will ever get in your way. So there are 3 power sources that I want you to evaluate about where to find your particular reason why. Number 1 is obvious, and that is your desire power, what you want. Okay, all the things that you want in life, the shiny sports car, the dream home, the exotic vacations, someday being on the cover of Success magazine, being recognized within the community, being that person that's noted to make a dent in the universe. Those are desires, those are wants, and that's great. There's a second power, a lot of times even more compelling, and that is what's called your fight power. The things that you don't want. There are the things that you love, and then there are the things that you hate. And it's identifying an enemy. Everybody needs an enemy. Everybody needs an enemy. I mean, Rocky needed an enemy, right? Rush Limbaugh has the liberals, the 20-somethings have the man. In the beginning we had the British, and then we had the Russians, and now the Koreans, and then the Iranians, and all the rest of them. You need to rally the best within you, to create a revolution in your life. You have to identify the things that you want to fight against. What do you want to fight against? Cancer? Homelessness? Inequality in the financial structure between men and women? What is it that really fires you up to fight? When I wrote The Compound Effect, one of the first things I did is identify an enemy. And the enemy was commercial marketing gimmickry, where we're constantly bombarded with increasingly sensational claims to get rich, get fit, get younger, get sexier all overnight with very little effort for only 3 easy payments of $39.95. And I was tired of watching it happen. All the sensational sit on your couch and imagine checks coming into your mailbox crud. It was time to get back to the basics. The key to success is hard freaking work. Like you're going to have to put your shoulder to the grindstone and make something happen. You've got to get off the damn couch, go out the front door, and make something happen. Success. First thing I did when we relaunched Success is find an enemy. The enemy was sensational news media that's constantly bombarding our consciousness with what's negative, what's wrong, what's fearful, what's dangerous, so that they can draw your attention long enough to show you a Crest toothpaste commercial. Showing you the half dozen most perverted, heinous, ugly, nasty things that is happening in the world, and then parading it morning, noon, and night, morning, noon, and night. Yet, that same day, millions of wonderful, miraculous, beautiful, amazing, prosperous things happen in the same world, but you don't hear anything about it. That's another enemy. That's what fires me up. A shiny new sports car, a dream home, not so much. Fight the enemy, knowing that I want to bring hope, opportunity, and prosperity back to the consciousness and belief systems of what's possible for people to do great things in the world. That fires me up. Find your fight power. A great example of this, I don't care whatever anybody ever says about this guy, the guy kicked ass on a bike, right? So, he had competed in the Tour de France before he contracted cancer. I don't know if many people know that. And he wasn't even a contender. He wasn't that good. Then he gets cancer, battles cancer, and because he generated his source for his fight, he got back on the bike with a totally different level of purpose. And that's how he ended up becoming the 7-time achiever world champion that he did. Let me show you this video. This is a great way to put it.
say whatever they want. I'm not back on my bike for them.
Here's the third source of power, heart power. There's a story that comes out of World War II where a cruise ship was sunk by the enemy and 300 crew members were lost at sea. And they were cold, they were starving, they were being eaten by sharks as they drifted out to sea. And then a jet stream had pulled 9 of the men away from the rest of the crew. And one of the young officers could see that the other 9 men were losing hope. They were starting to wither away. And he started talking to them about their family at home, what they wanted to achieve when they got back, what did they want to do, what difference did they want to make to their community. He had to imagine what their family must be going through, not knowing whether they are alive or dead and how afraid they might be. And he said, don't stay alive for you, stay alive for them. It's them that you need to stay alive for. Well, come find out that 291 other men died. And all 9 men under that young officer's leadership lived because they had something other than themselves to live for. So who is it that you achieve, that you overcome obstacles, that you fight through the difficulties in order to achieve? Who do you do it for? Consider that, and that might be where you find your great source of why power. Comes down to this: if your why does not make you cry, it's not big enough. It's not strong enough. It will not allow you to endure what you need to go through to get to the top of this organization or to get to the top of your goals and ambitions. Martin Luther King put it this way: if you haven't found something you're willing to die for, you aren't fit to live. Distinction number 5. These superachievers, they fail a lot. Matter of fact, the people at the top of society, people at the top of this organization, I promise you, the people that you will see recognized as the top of this organization, those are the people who have failed more than anybody else. They are the greatest failures amongst you. Now, I learned when I first got into real estate how to actually fall in love with failure. Not accept it, not understand that it's part of the journey. I'm talking about loving it, seeking it, desiring failure. Let me show you how this came about. I first got into real estate. I went to a seminar like this, and I got a chance to take the lecturer out to lunch. And I was sitting there. I was 20 years of age, and I said, "Okay, tell me what I need to do to be successful. What do I need to go out and do to be successful?" He said, "Go fail." I'm like, dude, I thought the whole idea of success was avoiding failure so that you could be successful. He said, quite the opposite. What you need to do, young man, is you need to go fail. And you need to go fail a lot. And you need to go fail quickly. And you need to go fail fast. And then he could tell that I wasn't getting this, and he said, this is what Thomas Watson, the president of IBM, said: the key to success is massive failure. The key to success is massive failure. You can see that I wasn't getting it. So he wrote out this analogy for me that I want to pass on to you. He said, life is like a pendulum. And on one side of the pendulum is, you can't really see that, is joy, love, happiness, and success. And on the other side of the pendulum is rejection, sadness, and defeat. And he said, if you just stand still, you won't experience any sadness, pain, or rejection, but you also won't experience any love, happiness, or success. You'd be living under a bridge somewhere. He says, so what ends up happening is people find this little comfort zone. They're only willing to experience so much rejection, so much defeat, so much sadness, so they're only going to ever receive so much success, so much happiness, and so much joy. This ends up becoming their restricted comfort zone. And he said, now, the key here is you can't push the pendulum on the side of success, joy, and happiness. You can't control that side of the pendulum. What you can control is the side of the pendulum of rejection, defeat, pain, and sadness. He said, so your goal is to push the pendulum to the side of rejection, defeat, pain, and sadness as much and as often as possible. So I took this to heart. Now, in real estate, there are a few ways you can go get a lot of pain, a lot of sadness, a lot of rejection, and a lot of defeat really quickly. There's this thing called expired listing. These are people who had their house on the market with another agent and it didn't sell, so all of a sudden it comes up on the computer and 3,000 agents call that house starting at 6 o'clock in the morning, and the homeowners just go berserk and they become angry and belligerent. Well, I would just call on every expired listing every single morning. There's another place you can get some pain, sadness, and defeat. That's calling on for sale by owners. These are people who hate realtors so much they wouldn't even think about listing with a realtor. Call on those, lots of pain and sadness there. When I was done with all of those, I would just park my car at the end of the street and just go door to door. White shirt and a tie. People love that, right? Knock, knock, knock. Do you plan on buying or selling real estate in the next 6 months? Slam. Knock, knock, knock. You plan on buying or selling real estate in the next 6 months? Dogs barking. Kids across the street throwing rocks at you, starting to rain. Lots of sadness. Lots of defeat, lots of pain, lots of rejection. When I was done with that, I'd go back to my office at 5 to 9, what was called money time. And I would just cold call people. Why those hours? Because that's when they're home eating dinner, and that's when you can get them on the phone. People love that too. So what ended up happening is, I just became emphatic about just going out and getting as much pain, defeat, rejection, sadness as possible. Pushing the pendulum on the side of that equation. What ended up happening, I want to report to you, is that the pendulum swung in equal distance on the other side of success, happiness, joy, and result. And as a testimony to this principle, in 90 days, at 20 years of age, coming into an industry I knew nothing about, in an office of 44 other agents, I was outselling the entire office combined with new listings and new escrows in 90 days. And I only tell you that to say, when you take the whole idea of rejection and failure and defeat, and instead of just sort of tentatively trying to, dance with it, but inside just knowing that this is not what you really want, and you turn it on as a goal, you make it a passion, you fall in love with it. I go up to the front door with a notepad in my hand with 50 check boxes on it. Would allow myself to get in the car until I had 50 checks on that little notepad. So when somebody would slam the door in my face, curse at me, what have you, I would skip down the driveway, delighted. Why? Because I was one step closer to being done, right? So because I saw failure as an objective, I not only accepted it, it ended up becoming my ability to move through lots of numbers and do the kind of things most people were not willing to do. Now, even to this day, this sets up a whole new comfort zone. Now, I want to be more successful than I am right now. I want to have more money, I want to have a better body, I want to have more joy, more happiness, what have you. So what's the key to getting more of that?
Failure.
More rejection, more defeat,
Failure.
more pain, more sadness. So if I get to the end of a month and I have not had my palms sweat, if I have not done something that's embarrassed me, or I've been rejected, or I've not suffered some sort of defeat, I am mad at myself. Because I know the only way to get the pendulum further on the side of success is to experience the pain, rejection, sadness, and defeat. Get the point? So I want to encourage you to do this. Instead of setting yes goals, achievement goals,
No go.
I suggest that you set no goals. Who on your team can get to 100 no's the fastest?
I can.
Who could create the most embarrassing defeat imaginable? Have that kind of contest, and every time you are rejected, celebrate it. The person that gets to 100 no's, celebrate it. Parade that person around.
So we should
because
celebrate.
I promise you, if they're willing to go to the 100 no's,
I should
by
celebrate.
accident, perchance, somebody's
So
going to
that
say
means
yes.
you're needing to success.
And you're going to get a heck of a lot more
Yeah,
yeses
holy
moving
shit,
through 100 no's
congratulations, Tony.
than tentatively dancing around trying to get to 5 yeses.
Holy.
FDR put it this way,
That
success
means-
is going from failure to
That means
failure
that
with
the
no
PFCs
loss
are
of
not the
enthusiasm.
superstar. It's you.
And one of the great failures of our time was also one of the greatest athletes that ever lived. And I want him to tell you his key to success. He told me these words when I met him in a hospitality suite at a basketball game. But I found a video that said some of the very same things. Let me have him tell you his key to success.
I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. I succeed.
Let that be your testimony. I have failed over and over and over again in life, and that's why I succeed. One of the greatest flame-out failures there are. I mean, this guy has some doozies to his name. Dyslexia, virgin cola, remember that one? Virgin vodka, virgin cosmetics, virgin cinemas, virgin cars. But this is his philosophy. He says, my motto is, screw it, let's do it. If you fall flat on your face, pick yourself up and try again. This is the reason why the guy's worth $4 billion and has 400 companies. Because he is not only willing, he delights in failing. That allows him to get to the other side of having 400 successful companies along the way. When I was 8 years old, I remember this, taking it back to being raised by a university football coach. We went skiing in Heavenly Valley. Now, this was just after they had the Olympics there in Heavenly Valley. And I skied by myself all day long. And I was so excited at the end of the day to go to my dad and say, Dad, I skied all day long and I didn't fall down one time. And his response was, well, you didn't get any better then. I was raised with the philosophy, no pain,
no gain.
no gain. He explained, look, if you're not pushing yourself, if you're not finding the boundaries of your skill and ability and falling in order to find it, you're not stretching, you're not getting any better. And so I want to suggest this to you. I mean, when I'm in the gym, when I'm working on a business project, I want to find the wall of pain. And I want to find it because everything else is table stakes until I find the wall of pain. And my ability to push through the pain is where the growth, where the success, where the prosperity ultimately lies. Eleanor Roosevelt said it this way: do something every day that scares you. Don't let yourself go to bed at night and not have done something that scared the bejesus out of you.
You're scared of me?
You're in a business where you can talk to anybody all day. Do and talk to somebody that scares you each and every day, and you'll end up being one of the most magnificent achievers in this whole organization. Now, let me tell you something that's going to scare you to wrap up here every day. The people around you. Sometimes the people who love you the most are the ones that are going to try to scare you the most as well.
That's right.
There's a story about an eagle's nest that was perched way up on a mountaintop. And there was this big earthquake that shook the mountain, and one of the eagle eggs from the nest rolled down into the valley below into a chicken farm. And by instinct, the chickens knew that they needed to protect and nurture the egg, so one of the old hens took it upon herself to nurture the egg. And then eventually, the big large egg cracked open, and out came a big, beautiful, bald eagle. Well, the eagle was raised to be a chicken, and got to know the ways of being a chicken, and inside his heart, he knew that he yearned for more. One day, he's out playing with his chicken friends, and looks up at the sky and sees this big, beautiful, bald eagle. And he exclaims to his friends, look at that great bird. I want to soar like that bird. And his chicken friends laughed and mocked and says, you can't soar, you're a chicken, and chickens don't soar. And he kept looking up, and every time he let his dreams be known, his chicken friends would laugh and mock until eventually his dreams, he stopped dreaming altogether. And he lived the rest of his life as a chicken and ultimately died a chicken. What's the moral of the story? If you listen to the chickens around you, you will live and die like them, a chicken. What I want to promise you is, inside of you is an eagle. How do I possibly know that?
Oh, yeah.
Because you made it to this room. There are tens of millions of people that could have been here, that were given the invitation to be here, but only you packed your bags, bought your ticket, got on a plane. Something inside you cries out for more. No matter how you were raised or the people around you, something cries out for more. Inside of you is that eagle. Now is your time. Now is your time to soar. Take off, take flight. Thank you all very much.
That's nice.